Common Sense Media activated.
This episode is dedicated to all the dads out there, enlightening their children, teaching them, and showing them love. We salute you. You are now entering Dad Mode, a podcast with a dad's eye view. And we are your hosts. The dad is still.
It's James.
And I'm your friendly neighborhood amazing dad, Rich. Big Rich. Yo. What up, Pops?
What's up, Dad?
How's it going?
Going well, man. You know, had the day off today.
All
so
right.
it was nice to kick back and get things done. How about you?
Oh, you know, I wish I had that problem of having a day off, but I didn't. So it is what it is.
Problem.
But it's all good. You know, I'll have many days off coming up soon. But yeah, you know, other than that, you know, just trying to live life to the fullest, and you know, got some news to break to you here in a little bit. But you know,
Ooh.
Yeah. But we're going to talk about some things, as we always do, on Dad Mode. So the topics we're going to talk about is Valentine's Day and how it's changed since becoming parents. And then we're also going to talk about how we teach our children about Black History Month. You know, and yeah, it's going to be a good one. Yeah, I'm excited for this. You know,
I am too, man.
You know, listens out there going to have some fun with this one.
You know, it's that month, you know, where it's like people stress about getting gifts and the right gifts, especially for you singles out there that are still in the courting phase. You know, we're well beyond that than Black History Month.
Yeah.
As you'll hear me say later on, again, Black history is American history.
Yeah.
So,
amen to that.
I'm really excited to kind of shine the spotlight on a few things. So yeah. I don't want to spoil that, man.
No.
Do you think?
Yeah, that's good, you know, and I'm excited for Valentine's Day. And I only say that because I'm a changed man, and I'm trying to, you know, incorporate a lot of Valentine's Day things inside of my heart to where I can definitely show my love for a lot more people out there, especially to my lovely wife and to my two beautiful children. And so, yeah, you know, and you got any gratitude you got going on out there?
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like you smoothly just rolled right into it.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of Valentine's Day, my eternal Valentine, my lovely wife. But I want to give a shout out to the Lady Jags, my daughter's basketball team. They had a heck of a run. They're the only team in their school that made it to the regional tournament, a regional round of the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
So they're if they were to win that, they would have gone to state. And so this team that they've had trouble with, they gave them a hard time this time. So I feel like they're vastly improving. So yeah, man. And then I also had a house full of pubescent girls after, because my daughter wanted to have like half the teams do a sleepover. I got suckered into, hey, can we hang out? Sure, that's cool. They can hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And they stay the night. Like a few hours later, and I'm like, okay, this was a planned operation.
Yeah, and then you got the look.
But luckily, most of the parents were cool with it.
Oh,
so
cool.
They had a good time, man. Yeah. They had a really good time, especially like short notice. We were able to kind of just pull a rabbit out of our hat. Also, I'm going to give another shout out to Miss Eve. You know who you are. She provided the kids a lot of snacks last minute. She's one of the players' grandmothers. So she hooked us up. That was nice.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Yeah, now for me, I'm going to gratitude, and also I'm going to shout out to one, of course, the lovely Mrs. She's always in my corner.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's my boo thing. And I love you for all my heart and all my soul. And of course, you know, my kids. And, you know, I'm trying to get my son into the lovey-dovey mode, but, you know, it's going to be a minute. And, you know,
don't rush that kid.
Yeah, I ain't going to rush him. So we'll get with him. You know, my daughter, you know, she's such a loving soul. And every time I give her a kiss, it's just like awesome just to give her a kiss every day and just see her And it's like, same with my son. I give him a kiss every day too, but it is what it is. So, but now, I got a PDA.
Public dad announcement.
Had to pull that one off on the fly.
There you go. Yeah, that was a good one. And so, as we know, we talked about this in the crossover, when I was last down there. And so now, me and the wife and the family are going to make that jump down there, the old Saytown down there. So, we're going to be moving in the summertime. So we're going to catch some heat. Anyway, go catch some heat before we come, when we come down there. So if anything, we're going to be coming down there. We're going to be doing a lot more live episodes instead of this remote thing. So that's going to be a blessing right there. Or that's a blessing right there. And it's going to be awesome. I'm proud of ourselves and our family just to be able to make this decision, especially a big magnitude of this event that we're going to be having. So, that's it. That's the PDA that we got going on for this episode.
And I'm really excited about you moving down here, man. Obviously, because you're my best friend, and this is something that we've talked about since I left Alaska. The prospect of living in the same area for 20 years. Hey, man, no time like the present. But how long is that drive down there? How many days? Because I remember us taking a week to drive to and from.
I would say it would be about a week. I always say about a week just because of the fact that, you want to do the scenic route and want to look at the different types of scenery and take your slow time getting there and seeing everything. So just about a good week, but we're not going to drive. We're going to fly because I hate driving. Like I'll drive, of course, every day, but when it comes to those long distance driving, cut me out on that.
Well, okay. I'm glad to know that you're flying because I was gonna give you a kind of like a little PDA, public dad announcement, not public display of affection. Although I will give you a hug when I see you.
Yeah.
7 days without a pun makes 1 week.
That's true.
Hold on.
Got a little dad joke. Charlie, begin.
You don't like that?
No, it was a good one. It was a good one. I'll take it. See, now you just got to have the clowns from the Apollo.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, I know, right? Hey, so what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about starting with Valentine's Day and Black History Month. And I wanted to remind all the dads out there before we get into it that it is officially dad tax season again. And I ain't talking about H&R Block or Intuit or whomever you may use. No. We're talking about all that good Valentine's Day candy that you may get, the chocolates, the little hearts, whatever you're into, the dad tax. And what is the dad tax? Well, if you're a father like ourselves and your kids may ask you to open a bag of chips or a bag of candy, or they say, hey, hand me a fry. You got to take a little bit for yourself. That's the dad tax. Hey, you got a whole thing of fries. You're not going to miss 2 or 3 fries. Now, if they're big old waffle fries, you might take 1. You might take 2. You don't want to go overdo it with those gigantic waffle fries. But that is what we do. Now, according to the Daily Dad, there's a deeper meaning to this dad tax. And the dad tax, he talks about John Thompson. I don't know if you remember that basketball coach, John Thompson. But he was saying like his father would actually wait till the kids would finish eating and then eat their leftover scraps because John Thompson would sacrifice, his father that is, would sacrifice eating meals so his kids could eat. Yeah. Now that's some real dedication.
Yeah, that is very dedication there.
That's crazy, man. So like, while we're having a little bit of fun with the dad tax, I just really wanted to point that out. Shout out again to Ryan Holiday, Daily Dad, Daily Stoic. We'll put a link in the show notes so you can read the whole thing. I'm grossly paraphrasing, but that really struck me when I wrote or when I read that. So he says that's how it goes, man. Don't forget it.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that's one thing too. I will say to piggyback on that on the Daily Dad, that is cool that in the February, if you know, as far as if you never read the book, or you know, if you are going to read the book in the February month, they talk about a lot with love, and so that's a good thing at teaching when, you know, or at least the sayings that they're pointing out a lot of things about love in this book in the month of February, which you know, of course, every day you should love your loved one. It doesn't matter if it's February 14th or if it's February or if it's like December 10th or whatever day. You got to show love. Of course, like with this month, it's the month that is significant. It's significant with love. You know, signifies love. So yeah, you know, it's a good read. You know, that's where we're at right now in February. We're going to talk about a lot with love and Valentine's Day, and of course, with one of the things is there's a time when we were single, and when it came to Valentine's Day, and now that we're dads and we're parents, you know, there may be some things that could be a little harder to do, you know, when it comes to getting some Valentine's things going for the wifey, you know, but then you get, you know, with children, you know, so for me, when it comes to Valentine's Day, there was this time in my life where it was really hard. And now that I'm starting to, you know, have a change, just starting to realize it's like, just go for it. Don't matter what happens. Just, you know, they're going to, the people that you show love to should be loving you regardless of, you know, it doesn't matter what you do, as long as you show them love. And I know for the kids, you know, what they have when it comes to, so, you know, you got the little candies, and, you know, I'm just going to put this out there. I try to get the cheapest thing for the kids, just because, you know, we get the little gummy little bracelets. I don't know if you've ever seen those, the little gummy bracelets. Yeah, they're like, you know, then you gotta like figure out how many kids you gotta get them for, and that's like $10 or $6, however much it is. And we try to, you know, it's not just about getting the kids the candies of getting it for everybody. It's about showing them, hey, you gotta show love to everybody out there. You know, and it's not just showing love to just your parents, it's showing love to your friends, love thy neighbor, right? You know, so that's the main thing is just showing love to everybody. And that's when we need to start teaching our children, is to show love to everyone, that is to whoever is out there. I mean, I know there's been a lot of the year of the beef.
Oh yeah.
When it comes to what's going on out there.
Check out Wave of the Future if you want to hear more about that.
Exactly. You know, like you guys hit that on the noggin when it came to that. You know, of course we touched on it in the crossover, but in this turn, you know, when you guys hit on it, it was like, man, we gotta love one another a lot more in this world. And it's like so much hate, so much conflict, and it's just so ridiculous right now. So yeah, I mean, that's just that was just on my heart. I wanted to say
that was beautiful, man. I agree with everything that you're saying, 110%, if not more, probably, definitely more. We have to show our kids love. I mean, you said it very well in the dedication, you know, to all the dads out there, showing and teaching their kids love. I mean, that's important, because it's not just about teaching them in the sense of, hey, this is what love is, Junior. It's you lead with your love, right? Hey, kid, I love you. No matter what, I love you. Hey, kid, I'm going to give you, it's going to sound so silly, but I'm going to give you an extra carrot, or I'm going to give you a little snack, or I'm going to go take you out to this event, you know. And it's love isn't always a monetary thing, right? But it's just the little things that we do to show our children that we care. Now, what do we do to show the wives that we care? And we talked about how lives, you mentioned how lives have changed since becoming parents, especially around this time of year. It's February in 2024. How has Valentine's Day changed for you, or differed from being single to being dating or married, and then married with children?
Yeah, you know, for me, it is changed a lot because of the outlook. And the outlook is that, hey, just if I'm going to show my love to everybody, and I'm hopeful to get the love back, but if I don't, it is what it is. But it's all about examples. I got to present an example to everybody that, hey, I love everybody unconditionally. And, when I was single, of course, guess what? I was loving myself. I hate to say it, but this when I was single, I loved myself. And then
there's nothing wrong with loving yourself. I still love myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. But it was more of just I didn't have anybody else to love because of the fact that it's just me. So now that I'm married with children, it's almost like you kind of gotta not differentiate, but kind of like separate a little bit. Like, okay, I still gotta show my love for myself, but then guess what? I gotta show my love for my wife or my significant other that I'm courting or dating. And now guess what? I gotta split that in half into thirds and then split it between the split between the split the kids, in the third. So if anything, it's more of just trying to separate that into individual sections. Like, okay, how much love do I show to, my kids, and how much should I separate my love from my wife, or what kind of love I'm gonna have for my wife and for my kids. And it's changed a lot, but sometimes it didn't change too like drastically bad when it comes to the single and the married and with kids. What about you? Did it change a lot when you were with you?
I want to say I found what you just explained fascinating. Like, this is actually a little off script, so to speak. We don't have a script, but we have a rundown and a flow. But I kind of want to like go into this here because I like how you were talking about showing the kids and your wife love, and then you were kind of splitting it up. And I've never thought about it from that perspective. I don't quantify it. Not saying that you have like an exact percentage. Okay, I'm going to show you 30%. You're going to get 28%. Yeah. I know you're not doing that.
Yeah. But it's more equal. You guys,
right. Yeah. And you can love your kids and your wife in different ways. And that's kind of how I think about it. There's things that I do with one child versus another versus the other. And it's all equal love. It's just a different way of showing it. So to answer your question, though, when I was single, I just never really paid much attention to Valentine's Day. I mean, true single, not even have a girlfriend or talking to girls, just true single when it's just me
out there in the club. I mean, and do your thing.
You know how it was when we were younger. We would go hit the clubs and we would try to go find some ladies or whatever. But if in those situations where I wasn't doing that, it was just another day to me. Now, when I started having girlfriends, then I stressed about it more when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And I mean, early 20s. We're talking no older than 22, because it became too much of a hustle and bustle kind of thing. It's like, oh, I got to do all this stress and this pressure. And we'll talk about burnout here momentarily. But I never enjoyed that part of it. It always felt manufactured. But that said,
yeah,
I still find ways to show my wife now that when I transitioned to getting married with, we were married not very long before we had children. So I would say while we were engaged, there was a whole lot of, hey, you want to go out to dinner? Sure. Why not? Or we would say, okay, cool. Why don't we have dinner here? Have a glass of wine, enjoy each other, watch a movie, cuddle up. We wouldn't really get into going out and doing anything crazy. We would show each other love differently and appreciate each other and try to like get into the holiday from that perspective. And now with kids, honestly, it's just, it's another day for us. We don't really trip out about it because we show each other love all the time.
Yeah, exactly. I agree
Not
with
to
that.
be sour or anything or sound like I'm poo-pooing the holiday, but that's just kind of the way we've operated.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what I said. We show our love every day. Yeah. So Valentine's Day, it's a man holiday, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of like hey, we gotta show love one day. No, man, like we gotta show love every day, and it's and we want to talk about tips and things later in a show, and it's like just so crazy how things have changed when it comes to how it can change some people's outlook on Valentine's Day compared to how it was when you get older too. So when you get older, you get like, you get to our age to where we're just like, we've been through the gauntlet of Valentine's days. And so we've had some strikes, we've had some hits.
Same.
We've had some buckets that we made, and there's some
from deep
air balls that we've missed. Exactly.
Y'all can't see
it's
me.
Like,
We just did the basketball hands.
And it's like, yeah. And then, and that's the thing that I am thankful for, is that everybody that I love have loved me, like they love me for who I am. They haven't said like, oh man, Rich, like, or not Rich. I mean, depending on who it is. Yeah. It's like, hey, say do you love me? It's like, yeah, I love you. Just like, well, you don't show it enough. It's like, golly, like, well,
what do I do now?
Yeah, exactly. I'm stuck. So, but yeah, it's going to be, when it comes to Valentine's Day, it's one of those holidays where it's one of those holidays where it's good to recognize, but if you don't, you should show it around every day.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, talk about this burnout. What you got?
Yeah, man.
Besides the...
So I was thinking about how the wife and I have celebrated or not Valentine's over the years. And I know that some people they get really stressed out by it. They really, really get in their feelings and they dread it.
Not gonna lie, I'm one of them.
Because you sometimes, some people don't really stop to think about ways to show their significant other that affection and that love. And then they realize, oh, this is the quote unquote day for that, So then they go, oh man, I didn't get him a card. I didn't get any flowers. I didn't get any chocolates. I didn't do anything. It's just, are we going to go out to dinner? And according to like Psychology Today, so this is one source I was checking out, a few examples they said to help you kind of reduce the dread or get over that dread is express love of all kinds, not just in romance. And I think that's kind of what you and I were alluding to with our children as examples, not just, we're not going to romance for children. We're not like that. That's a weird transition, but I think you understand what I'm saying. You're trying to not just buy their love, or in the case of your significant other, it's not just about the bedroom or the whining and dining. It's like, hey, I'm going to show you love, maybe kind of coinciding with something like Mother's Day, where you would say, hey, I'm going to wash the dishes, or I'm going to do these chores, or I'm going to go and take you out to a movie or take you out to a brunch or do something that's one of your favorite things to show my love and my appreciation. So do something more meaningful, basically, is the gist of all of that. Try a group activity or something with friends. Choose not to celebrate it. We've done that in the past. And then if you're a person who is by yourself, celebrate yourself. Show yourself some love. Go do something that you like to do.
Yeah.
You mentioned loving
yourself.
Exactly. You want to don't eat them all in one night. Unless it's like that's what you really want to do.
Eat the ones that you want.
Right, exactly. Throw the other ones away. So I thought that was kind of a cool thing to check out as far as reducing that dread, because I know for some folks, man, that is highly stressful. And I feel bad when people are just really stressed out. So what we do as examples, just a couple of personal tips in this area, is we don't go out to dinner during those Valentine's Day, that window. We'll go at the very beginning of the month, or we'll go at the end if we are going to celebrate Valentine's, because prices will go back to normal and the crowds will die down. Now there are certain things
plan
that
accordingly.
there are certain things they do for Valentine's Day. They'll have specials and stuff like that. But if it's at a really popular place or a place that gets really popular during that time, it'll be hard to kind of get the quality or get in the door if you want to. What about you? Is there anything that you've done? You mentioned having that dread. Is there anything that you've done to kind of help yourself reduce that dread?
To tell you the truth, yes. And I know I had a personal problem with this, and that is to not regret anything. Yeah. And not just for, so, I mentioned many stories to you, and the problem I had earlier in life was I would do something and I would do something for someone, but then I'm thinking that it's going to go great. I just need to go and just do it and not worry about it. And that's what so that's before I did that. I was like giving things to people like, okay, the kids, I would get them the chocolates.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, cool, thanks. And then, or I would go and get the wife a rose and be like, awesome. But then just don't go there thinking that you are going to fail. And if don't don't think you're going to fail. Just just go through with it. And when it comes to when it comes to showing your love for that particular individual, if you do it a monetary way, like say for instance, you want to go and buy certain things, don't think money's an issue. Okay, yeah, maybe plan.
Definitely plan.
Of course, plan. And then of course another thing will be understand who you are trying to love.
Yes.
So you got a wife, I got a wife. We both understand, we've been married for a long time, and taking those mental notes of, hey, this is what she likes. And it's a love language, right? And, understand their love language.
Yes.
What they are, what their love language. I'll have to pull that up and we can put that in the show notes as far as understanding the love languages, because there's a lot of individuals that don't know what the love languages are. And that's something that, at least for me, I had to learn. So if you learn those love languages of your particular individual or particular person that you are trying to love, then cool. And if you don't understand, if you don't understand love language, then research it. There's always a chance. There's always an opportunity to learn someone. Ask them, and if they'll tell you, cool. If you got to figure it out, then guess what? You got to figure it out.
I think that sounds like a future episode.
Yeah,
you talked about spending right on Valentine's Day, and according to a survey, this is from Forbes magazine. It says Americans are expected to spend roughly $14.2 billion on billion with a B, bravo, on their significant others on Valentine's Day, highlighting the widespread obligation to participate in the holiday. Don't feel obligated. Don't feel obligated. Do it because it works for y'all. And it's something that you want to do. And if I honestly, if you're doing this stuff year round as much as possible, I don't think the stress, I'm going to say think again, the stress will be there. Yeah. But I do know that there are people that have a heightened sense of loneliness. So they should practice self-compassion. Try to be social. You've heard of this thing called Galentine's Day, which that's the ladies, right? Going out and having a good time and spending time with each other and doing social stuff. Maybe there needs to be a dude version called, Palentine's Day or Dadentine's Day. I don't know. Maybe that's something we should look into doing. Daddy Times Day. Daddy Times. Yeah. There we go. Perform acts of kindness. Plan ahead. You mentioned planning ahead. And then professional support. You talked about that. That kind of goes with learning love languages, right? Learning how to communicate effectively and often with your significant other. So I think those are great, man. Now, for those of you who want to take it to the next level, you got to spice it up. Now let's say,
Oh, can I mention one thing before we go there?
Yeah.
And I just want to mention this real quick. Don't think you need to copy anybody. So what I mean by that is like you go watch the Love Letter movie or whatever it's
I hear
called.
you.
Don't think you need to be, you know what I mean? Like, don't think you need to be that person. Think of, trying to think about your own path to showing love. Don't, at least try, I mean, I guess if you have to, you have to. If that's what gets you going, that's fine. You can use it as a tips and things like that, but carve your own path on showing love the way you want to show it. Go ahead and talk about this, spice things up, because I'm trying to hear it. So.
Well, you always hear about people mentioning ways to get more intimate, and there's aphrodisiacs. Aphrodisiacs are like foods and spices and things that can kind of help raise your libido, we'll say.
Ooh,
kind of help put you in the mood. A lot of these things are spicy, but there's a article I looked at on Epicurious that just made me chuckle. Although they say it works, like Honey Mama's Spicy Dark Cocoa Truffle Bar. That's all it takes, brother. I'm going to buy a whole bunch of those.
Yeah, I know.
Come on, baby, get this chocolate
the
bar.
whole shelf.
Here's this truffle bar.
Mm-hmm.
How you feeling?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I mean,
it's like go and
you could bring these things like seriously, ginger snap cookies. I had no idea that was something that could help in that area. I'm laughing.
Not a big fan.
I'm trying to contain the 12-year-old in me because it shows links to where you can buy these products. And one website is nuts.com. I just thought that was interesting time. Yep. Cinnamon. Apparently cinnamon, chili olive oil, Brightland Ardor chili olive oil. There's a whole list of stuff I'm not going to read. There's at least 19 on here. We'll put it in the show notes, but you could try things like that. And I wanted to mention this because this leads into planning ahead. Plan an indoor picnic. Plan to go somewhere. Go to the spa. Get a facial. Play a game. There's intimate games. There's actual games you can do. That's just you and her, or you or she or her. You and him. You know what I mean? Like travel for dessert. Go to these places that are known to have foods like that when you travel. So these things to me kind of go hand in hand as far as trying to spice things up, do things a little different. If that's your thing. But as we've said now multiple times, don't feel obligated to have to do something so drastic. Show them the love.
Yeah.
Capital One, what's in your wallet? Do what's in your budget.
Yep.
Do what makes sense.
Yep. That's exactly what I was
thy partner. And Rich, you nailed every head when you said, don't try to copy somebody else. Now, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea. I mean, if it's something that you can do, sure. But don't feel like, I think the problem, and this is a whole other topic, the problem that we have now as a society is that we look at the Facebooks and the TikToks and YouTube shorts, and we see people doing these things for other people or just doing things in general and having this sense of, I don't do enough with my life. This is not enough. I'm not enough. And this is the kind of holiday, especially if you are a person who just broke up or just having not a lot of luck in that area, or your relationship is kind of already skating on thin ice, rocky, however you want to word it.
Yeah.
These kinds of things that you see with your that you see make you feel inadequate. But don't compare, man. Stay in your lane, play your own game.
And that's crazy too, because a lot of men would look at those things and they'll say, okay, well, my wife or significant other watches these shows and they're like, hey, you can't do it. You gotta, you can't be doing that. Just go with your, just like you said, study your partner, man. And that's the most communication. That's the most important thing. Communicate.
Hey, man, at the end of the day, they wanted us and we wanted them.
Yeah,
and we chose each other.
Yep.
She chose us.
Exactly.
She chose us for a reason, man. So that's
exactly.
We have to be thankful for that. there's something within us all that allowed us to forge a partnership, a commitment, lifelong, if we're fortunate enough, commitment and raising little humans together.
Yeah. So do you have any personal tips real quick?
I mean,
before we go on,
honestly, I think I kind of sprinkled them in throughout this.
Yeah.
My biggest tip would just be don't stress it, please. Don't let it stress you out. I know it's easier said than done. Everyone's different, but try your best. Drink some chamomile tea and think through this. If you can't drink chamomile tea, get some lavender, find something, try to just get that weight off your shoulders, think through it, be honest. Be honest with your partner. Ask her, like, okay. Or say to her, I don't know what to do. I have an idea.
Yeah.
I have an idea of what you like. I know what you like, but I don't want to keep doing the same things over and over for you.
Yeah, that's the what's that spot? You got to maybe be a little spontaneous.
Spontaneous.
That's the
spontaneity.
That's the one thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's the one personal tip I got is I'm trying to do a lot more spontaneity, whatever you just said.
Spontaneity.
Spontaneity. And I'm trying to be that way just so that I could better, so I can do things different because I'm, making a change, especially when we're moving. That's a big change. And so that's what we need to do is just, that's just my personal advice.
I like it.
Is do a lot more things spontaneous. So, so Black History Month, February, it's like you mentioned, it is America's, it's American history.
It absolutely
it's
is.
just part of American history. Yes. And so, we are going to talk about what is Black History Month. And February is the significant month as far as, in my eyes, of celebrating Black history from the trials and tribulations of Black culture,
African American history.
Exactly. Talk about African American history. Good things that have when it comes to the color barrier of Jackie Robinson or Martin Luther King. I know we talk about Martin Luther King in January because of his birthday, and that's usually. And Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, and all those different things, and people that made history, Harriet Tubman, and all these things, Frederick Douglass, all these different things. It's all about learning, and so, we're going to talk about how, we're also going to talk about how we educate kids and how we teach our children about Black history. And I guess for me, I'm trying to understand from your point of view, Eve, like, what do you think Black History Month is?
Well, real quick on that, I don't know if you knew this. I don't remember hearing about this when I was younger, but it started off in the 1920s as Negro History Week. I don't remember hearing that.
Oh,
so I went down. I wanted to get like a nice, concise. I didn't want to just explain it in my own words what Black History Month is, because I think everybody kind of has a general idea. It's trying to find something more official. I looked on Wiki earlier, and then I go and I look at the sources because you can't use Wikipedia as a source when you're writing papers. So I'm kind of trained. Trained to do that still. Mm-hmm. Years later, not in college.
It's like all the information is right there.
Right.
It's like so easy.
I know. But then I also learned in that reading that it's observed. I didn't know it was observed in Canada. It's recently started to be observed in Ireland and the UK. So that's pretty awesome. Black History Month, what it means to me is just taking the time to learn about where we come from. Spoiler alert, if you haven't noticed by the logo of the guy on the cover art, the podcast art, Rich and I are both African American men. So there's that, but knowing where we come from, understanding the achievements of our people, because a lot of times, most of the time in classes, you don't really hear about that stuff as often as you'd like. It's the same curriculum over and over and over. And then in this month they want to cram in, I have a dream speech with, yes, look, significant. It's great. Rosa Parks, Harriet Tubman, the same.
You think they should dive deeper?
I would like African American or Black history to be taught just throughout the curriculum. I learned, and I forget the lady's name. I saved the video on Instagram. I'm using my phone as a camera, so I can't grab it. But I learned that the lady who invented the ironing board was an African American lady today. And I thought that was just something that was so cool. I mean, it's something that we use all the time. I iron clothes. My kids iron their uniforms. Like, it's like, okay, this is just small stuff like that. It doesn't always have to be about the I have a dream or the desegregation and stuff. There's inventors, there's people in tech. So the Tech Jawn, shout out to Rob Dunwood, Terrence Gaines, aka Brother Tech, and Stephanie Humphreys, aka Tech Life Steph. Their podcast is amazing. They do a spotlight, not every episode, but they would do a spotlight most episodes where they talk about someone Black in tech and how they have had an impact on the culture and society in general. So I'm always hearing Black history just through that podcast. And that's something that I'd like to do with my kids as far as teaching them about Black history is kind of say, hey, did you know? Did you know? What about you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would love to do that. I know for me, I thought to myself that I would love, I loved it. I want to teach my kids Black history, but I was thinking to myself that the school system would do that,
they won't.
But apparently they won't, or they haven't, or they, haven't, because, and so last night I talked to my kids, and this was like, me and the wife were really talking and saying, man, because we talked about what we're going to talk about today. And we asked our older son, he was like, we were like, asked a simple question. Who was the first Black baseball player? Or let me rephrase it. Who was the first? Yeah, I guess there you go. Who was the first Black baseball player to break into the Negro League, or to break the color barrier? He didn't know. I was like, tear. And it's like, wow, I can't believe that. And I was like, wow, that's like, I felt like I failed. I'm not going to lie, because the fact that I didn't teach him that, at least not just there's all the Black history things, but I felt like I didn't teach him that. And I asked my daughter the same thing. I was like, what did they teach? Did they teach Black history in your school? And she's like, yeah. Oh, okay. What did they teach you? Rosa Parks? And I'm like, okay. All right. We got a little further to my son, in middle school, at least in his life, so what they teach you? Oh, about how she sat in the back of the bus and she made it to where, so I was like, she told me the story. I'm like, okay, all right, well, that's good. Of course, she didn't dive deep in it, because, they're not going to dive deep in it in the school. So, and then I asked my son, and he figured it out. And so I know for me, I want to try and do more with them.
Yeah.
And I know it shouldn't have to be just like we talked about Valentine's Day. We shouldn't have to show love just in 1 month. I want to be the same way when it comes to, because, they're African Americans too.
Right.
And they, I don't want them to grow up not knowing their culture and not knowing where they came from. I don't know how deep, if I'm going to go. Now, for me, I kind of learned, just like you kind of learned, at least I'm going to assume this. We watched the movie Roots. Yeah, I know that's not like as far as teaching about Black history, but it talks about slavery and talked about the history, because that's part of history. And that's never going to go away. Racism, things like that. So I don't know if I want to teach that, or do I want to make it like a more of a fun activity? And I know just going through the library, we were talking, we saw on Netflix, I don't know if you seen on Netflix they had like the Kevin Hart's Black History show or something
Yeah.
like that. We were going to check that
Yeah, I
out
saw that.
and see. I don't know if it's. I don't know. Is that any good?
Well,
Have you,
I
like,
haven't watched that. I mean, I've seen that it's on Netflix.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's what I want to try. Maybe that's something light and funny because it's Kevin Hart. So
Right.
I want to try and do that. But I know for me, I need to be more involved, especially me being African American. I need to be more involved in getting my kids taught on that particular history. And so,
as do I, man.
It's just,
and you can do things like teaching them and have them listen to kid-friendly podcasts. Like, I think there's one called Noodle Loaf, African Folk Tales with Miss JoJo. I used the Lifeline on that one. There are different TV shows. I mean, when we were growing up, we had the Cosby Show and we had Fresh Prince. Now these are more sitcoms, but there were a lot of deep messages and positive figures. One of the things that we wanted to do as a segment is we wanted to spotlight a Black dad, real or fictional. And Uncle Phil was like and Dr. Huxtable were like two of the ones we both agreed on right away. Like, those would be the guys that we would in fiction because of what they meant to the characters and what they meant to me as a child. Like Uncle Phil, his love for Will, that when the show ended and he was like, "You're like a father." And Uncle Phil, when he said, "You are my son," I was a freaking preteen and that brought tears to my eyes, man. Because you grew up watching those characters. So, and not to get too much into the Hollywood aspect, but we could try to find educational content online. My kids, I made them read Thurgood Marshall's book. I had that book since I was a kid, a book about him. And then Crispus Attucks, I have a book, about him. My eldest just read Asia Wilson's autobiography. So, my daughter's a basketball player. That was right up her alley. She read that in 2 days, man. She gobbles these books up. You guys can't see me on camera, but over my left shoulder, I've got Kobe Bryant's The Mamba Mentality right behind me. And I tell my children, you should, whenever you want to, just come in that room and grab that book and read it. Now, I'm focusing on sports and entertainment, but there are other people they can read about, right? There's Obama. Never thought you'd have a Black president, right? You can read about Obama. Yeah. You can read about Neil deGrasse Tyson. We have Neil deGrasse Tyson Star Talk books in my library, so the kids have easy access to that. I try to show them a lot of different figures and we all come in different shades and types. We're not a monolith. And teaching kids about Black history isn't, to me, just about the most famous and significance. Black history can also be immediately your family. You don't have to have famous people in your family, but tell your children, when you say where they come from, not just a wide Black diaspora, but immediately something that could be more tangible. My grandmother did this, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandfather, my cousins, my third cousin twice removed, somebody that is in your bloodline. You could talk about things and the impact that they did. My grandmother was a jazz singer, as an example. Yeah. So,
and that's a good, that's all. And the one thing I will mention too is what we all need to do, and I'm gonna hold myself accountable for this, is we need to want to teach our kids this stuff. And at least for, and it's not just the month of February, it's the month of March, it's the month of December, it's the month of July. We need to, and I need to do better in myself, take accountability in that, as far as, it's that, have them research something, like, research who Aretha Franklin is, throw her name out there, or whatever, this is something that has something to do with Black, or research about my mom and her family tree, so those are things that we need to take accountable for as dads, as make it to where, hey, we need to show our kids where they came from, at least, our family,
within
where they
your
came
own
from, so
family
that they
tree.
know.
I'm glad.
Yep.
I'm glad that
And
you
I mean,
said that about doing your own research, because that is important. They have to have the will to want to do it, but then you also have to be the one to kind of drive and encourage them to do that research and say, "Hey, look,
Yep.
you have what I didn't have as at your age, and you've got the World Wide Web." I mean, technically, we did. We like for my oldest, but the World Wide Web, and I feel old saying it that way, wasn't what then what it is now. It's not the same. It's an entirely
it's not the same.
different beast. And so they've got information at their fingertips. I mean, even if it's something like TikTok or a YouTube short or a reel, short form content.
If you got time to look on your phone to look up a TikTok or to look up a YouTube short or to look up a YouTube video,
and don't,
you could at least
don't wait for New Year's. Don't wait for February to teach them Black history. It's all year long. It's forever. And you mentioned slavery. That's definitely a part of our history, right? But prepare your children, depending on the age or at their level, and say history isn't always pretty. You've got things like Jim Crow. You got the segregation. There's all kinds of stuff. Our history is evolving. It's always evolving. It's changing. I mean, just look at hip hop music as an example. Hip hop started with the and it got really conscious. There was party stuff, there's conscious stuff, and then you go into the materialistic stuff, and then you go into whatever rap is today with the trappy, mumbly stuff. I mean, but you've got different subgenres of hip hop music and R&B, this Black music as examples. You've got so many different ways of looking at Black history just through that. You can go look at politicians, the inventors. If tech is your thing, again, I mentioned Tech Jawn earlier. Go look at tech. Go look at scientists. There are we are everywhere. Fashion, if that's your thing, shoot, I'm pretty sure I know there are Black electricians out there that were unsung heroes of the culture.
This is my lack of knowledge, and I could be wrong, but wasn't a Black person create a cell phone, or am I thinking of something different?
I'm trying to remember. I wish I had that.
Maybe we'll research it. Yeah, but I could have swore I may have saw this in a board game or something, or I don't know, and thought to myself, "Oh my goodness, that's crazy." I would have never thought that.
Here's some good examples. There's a movie called Rustin that's on Netflix. It's about Bayard Rustin. It's actually, I believe, the Obamas produced it, but this guy was a civil rights strategist and organizer, and he was often overlooked because he was gay. So thinking about, he was born in 1912, dude. Think about the civil rights. We had things going on with being Black, and then you throw gay and he was he was out being gay in those times. That's crazy. Like, just think about that. Absolutely crazy. Bessie Coleman.
Yeah.
And she was an aviator. And that was unheard of. This lady was born in 1892. And she grew up here in Texas, where it was segregated. And she was African American and Native American, so she could double dip. She could have both. But these are just a couple of examples of unsung heroes. And I'll send the link for this. This is AnneMarieJawn.com, where I was looking at this yesterday. I mean, there's just so many names here. Shirley Chisholm, Dr. Charles Drew, the pioneer of blood banking, Claudette Colvin, This was long before Rosa Parks. I'd heard of her actually like 4 or 5 days ago. I can't believe I'd never heard of her before. But she was,
Man.
this was before Rosa Parks in the bus boycott thing, man. I mean, it's crazy. The information is out there and available for us all. And so we just have to cultivate a environment where the kids want to learn and that's fun for them to learn. And it appeals to their senses. I saw another article. This was made for teachers, but this I thought would be kind of cool if any of our listeners are teachers or know a teacher and they're trying to come up with a lesson plan for Black History Month.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, don't treat Black history as the past.
Yeah.
Once again, for the third or fourth time, do address that Black history is American history. People have gotten upset because there have been folks that say there should be no Black History Month. And I understand both sides of the argument. Well, if we don't talk about it, then there will be no spotlight. But the thing is we shouldn't have a separate month if it's part of American history. It should just be taught real year round. We shouldn't need a separate month to talk about the contributions that Black Americans or African Americans have made to this country.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say too.
One more thing real quick. Don't single out your Black students because I've been in that. We've both been in that situation. Don't.
Oh, I
hey,
know, man.
You're Black. Dude, I was born in the 80s. That person was born at 18 something. Like what?
Yeah, exactly. And so I was, I was reading the article about the parents talking about teenagers, like how to do activities with teenagers. And, I wish I had one of these up here, but I don't think I have one, which is a HBCU.
Oh, yeah.
If we have one, I would love to have my kids tour that type of college, just so that they can see, because that's a lot of history in itself, right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like if we were, if there was like a Grambling or anything like that. But I mean, I don't expect anybody to, as far as parents go, fly to an HBCU just so they can teach their teenagers or kids about Black history. But and when it, and that's I know you touched on it, is Black history is American history. I honestly think it's something that if we could fight to where we can get the school system on board, that'd be great, to where it is taught as a curriculum. But it takes a village.
And we're going to veer into some polarizing territory. It takes people to put away their agendas and think about what we're trying to accomplish in society.
Yeah.
We have to put that crap aside and be like, you've got book bans and people concerned with CRT. I don't want to get into all that stuff because that's not the aim of this this podcast. But we have to sit down and say, not we as in you and me, but as a society, say, okay, what are we trying to do for our children? We have a diverse makeup of kids, from skin colors to religions to body sizes to sexual orientation and all kinds of stuff. So how do we educate children on all these things and keep them just keep them informed? Because I'll tell you what, this is a very, very tiny tangent. My wife and I were talking to our kids at dinner, and I mentioned something about Maryland, and my 12-year-old was like, "That's a state?" It's like, you have a map in front of you in front of your computer downstairs. Have you not looked up? Are they not teaching you? She said, well, I was told Maryland was a city. I was like, no, Washington, D.C. My kid literally thought D.C. was in Washington State. I said, no, Washington, District of Columbia. That's why people say Washington versus Washington State. And so we had to break down like what the DMV area is. Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, you know, like it made me stop and go, do I have you in the wrong school? I thought these charter schools were supposed to be better than the public schools. And now I'm questioning everything. Like I'm just something as small as that. Again, a total aside, I say that to tell you, Dad, Mom, both, whoever's listening, check in with your children and see what they're teaching them. Just like Rich said earlier with Black History, check in with them. Make sure that they're learning. Yeah. And this is beyond Black History. Make sure they're just learning, period.
Yeah. I know. I know we're about to end here soon. Man, this episode went by really quick.
Absolutely.
But and so I know that's the thing about me, and I'm starting to get more involved with my kids' school because of because of what I'm seeing. And I'm not seeing the results that I want to see. And the results I want to see is I want to see, you know, from my kids, a great academic. And a lot of it can come down on me as a parent and my wife as a parent. You know, but we have entrusted ourselves, or we have entrusted ourselves in the school system that we have, that we're dealing with. And now it's like, oh man, like things are difficult right now. So I know when we're moving down to Texas, that's one of the things that's going to, you know, of course, with your help in the village that we have in Texas, you know, we're going to call on you guys to help us with that when it comes to the proper schools for my children, because I want my children to go into a school that they're able to learn. And I know in the state I'm in, it's a difficult. We're not the greatest, you know, when it comes to the scholastics, but it's starting to show. And I don't want to be a part of that. You know, when it comes to having my blood not getting the education that they need. So yeah, definitely. You know, if it means a lot to you, listeners, just do what you gotta do. You know, to where it's for your children and it's for your loved ones. Yeah. You know, so yeah, we hit on a lot of things today, today on this episode, and I really loved it. You know, when it comes to talking about Black history and talking about Valentine's. You know, got anything else you gotta say? E?
You know, my advice to the parents out there, just to put the book in on this Black History Month portion of the show. Use your resources. We used to say it on the Edge Free Show. Do your research. There are a wealth of tools available. Yeah. I cannot stress that enough. You can even take virtual field trips on virtual Harlem. You know, New York Public Library. So there's all kinds of things that you can do.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that, prioritize. If it means a lot to you, prioritize it.
Yes, because your kids will feel your passion. They'll learn from it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
But yeah, man.
So yeah.
You want to tell them where they can find us?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can find us on all of the socials. Well, at least I always get this wrong. X, right?
There you go.
Not Twitter anymore. And then you got Instagram and Facebook at DadModePod.
That's right.
And then in an email, dadmodepod@gmail.com.
That's right.
Let us know. You know, message us, contact us. Let's keep this going, guys.
We love the feedback. We'd love to hear from y'all. So please. Oh
yeah, we're going on YouTube too. That's right. We're going to get there.
Hey, we're everywhere except for TikTok at DadModePod. Yeah. So just holler at us. But seriously, y'all,
please, we want to.
We're already into the second month. This is the first official episode of 2024, which is crazy. Time flies. We appreciate the love from y'all. We appreciate your patience, and we have a lot of exciting things on the horizon. So stay tuned.
Love you guys. Thanks for the support.
Peace.